there, doing my own work in a difficult way, as you know, when you leave Parliament. There are a few challenges, but I went back to Makerere to start a PhD program, which I am close to finishing. Because I submitted my draft thesis, possibly by the end of the year, and I will read it. I wouldn't place the exact date when I was asked to produce a CV, but let me start from the time I was appointed. Because I think when my name went to cabinet, some foreign ministers whom I know and whom I knew started calling me, telling me what happened in the cabinet and how the president had a very strong input in my appointment on the board of Airlines and subsequently on being made the chair. Now, the considerations I wanted to know. I already submitted my CV, and eventually I got CVs from my other colleagues, the board members. But on 7th of June 2019, that's when my board was inaugurated. 7th of June 2019. As a new team in an entity that you have found in place, we had an induction, and before I proceeded to work, I decided that we should have a retreat where we would interface with the top management of the airline, which we found in place. So,
who did you find at the time? As management? Who did you find at the time as management, head of management?
I okay. But along the way, I interacted with the minister at that time, Honorable Engineer Monica, and then the PS. And actually, because the minister was going out of the country, she had a process. Apparently, when the government decided to establish the airline for Uganda, 3 institutions were involved: the National Planning Authority, the Ministry of Works and Transport, and a team of pilots. I think they have an association of pilots. So the 3 met the president and then brainstormed on the issue. National Planning Authority was asked to do a feasibility study. And I am told the National Planning Authority contracted the services of the former CEO of Airlines, Mr. Conway Mleya, who was at that time being housed in Uganda Development Corporation organization. So they had a series of there. Now, when the cabinet discussed this, and they were convinced the project was feasible, now they tasked the ministry to look for somebody to write a business and implementation plan. And I'm going to make an observation just as a personal opinion. The Ministry of Works and Transport wanted to hire a consultant for this job. But Mleya and his team, Mleya's team was now the pilots. He was allied to the pilots at later on in what they termed the task force. he told the president, no, we can't spend so much money. I think it was about 3 billion. We can't spend so much money. We have the expertise, we can do this thing. And the president was convinced that Mulea and his team could do the business plan at zero cost. Now the observation is, in my view, that created an initial dotted line relationship between Mulea and the Ministry of Works, because I could see it over time. So, fast forward, the plan was finished, done in 3 months, passed in December, I think, 2018, and Cabinet directed after the plan had been passed and adopted to form a new company, first of all, because the old one had so many liabilities. And register it. So in the process, when the Cabinet passed the business plan, then the task force that had been put in place, the task force I'm talking about, which came up with this, with the feasibility study, requested government or cabinet to transform them into interim management. Now, the interim management, I am told, was accepted. It was accepted. A group of pilots, together with Mr. Conway Mulea, constituted interim management. And I think that's where another initial mistake was made. These are pilots. An organization, you have only one technical person. The rest are pilots. The rest are maintenance engineers of an aircraft. But then you must have somebody in charge of procurement, somebody in charge of this, finance, in the normal institutional arrangement. That's when you'll find some mistakes being made when contracts are awarded. You'll find a pilot, Chiema, is the chairman of the contracts committee. You'll find a pilot, Alex Akoza, is the secretary, and they're the ones signing on contracts. And I think maybe the only person who would read through and be comfortable would be the then technical advisor, Conway Mulea. What I skipped is, when they asked who should be their leader, these pilots, some of them were known to the president because he had sponsored them in their courses. They proposed Conway Mulea, and the president said, no. But Mulea is I don't hear that name in Uganda. Where does he come from? The man said, sir, I'm Zambian. Then the president said, no. You Ugandans learn how to always manage your things. Then there was a certain pilot called Bagenda. He's a maintenance engineer. He said, what's your name? I'm Engineer Bagenda. Where are you from? From Kabarole. Where do you work? Where do you live? I live in London, but I work with Rwanda Air. You bring back this man. Bring back this man. Let him be your leader. So I found Engineer Bagenda, sir, as the CEO of the airline. And Mulea was given the title Technical Advisor. But the president, now there was some, he says there was some bad blood between the Ministry of Works and the task force team, which was going to be interim management. and I think they aired out their concerns. Then the president said, the Prime Minister, Dr. Rugunda, you should now start coordinating this exercise. And later on, I hear when they are proposing even salary scales, and like Mulea was paid as a technical advisor, and all those salaries and levels were negotiated. So when we come in, that is an arrangement. But then, because the company had been registered, there had to be a board. So now the board that was proposed, which was transitional in nature before the registration, was it before registration or even after? Yeah, I think it was after registration. Those who were registered as board members were retired Captain Gad Gasatura. By the way, when I'm using captain in this meeting, I'm talking about airline, not your area. So Gad became the chairperson, and the members of the board were only two, and one who would stand in once in a while for the other. The PS Works was a board member. The PS Finance, Case Mechanism, was a member, but Case designated, I think, Mulamuko. I think he's called Mulamuko, if I can recall. He's the one who was always attending members. Now, as they tried to establish certain offices, while the processes were going on, that is the board that brought in other people. Now I'll give you this. I have documents here, and some of them are bulk. I will give you people you are going to read, since I'm already here. When you look at the 15 top positions of the airline, you'll find that about 9 or 10, they all came from Air Uganda. Air Uganda was an airline. I think you all know the history of that. You can find out. But Air Uganda, the CEO was Conwell Mulea, and he was a CEO in that airline for, I think, a year or less, at the time when its license had even been withdrawn, and he had to wind it up. So that's why he even stayed around, and he thought there was an opportunity, and he waited for it. So you will find the IT person was from Air Uganda. I think you have interfaced with Jennifer Mturaki, for what she says she was approached by Conwell Mulea because they had worked together in Air Uganda, and a number of others. Now and then we had 3 people who came from Rwanda Air. You have Bagenda, the CEO at that time, from Rwanda Air. You have Paul Turachai Senga from Rwanda Air. But Paul came on board after the person who had been appointed declined to take the job. But he was the second best person, so they brought him on board as a director. Actually, Paul came when I was already there. And then I think Engineer Kalisa was also from Air Uganda. I mean, from Rwanda Air. And a few others here and there. Our company secretary was a secondment from Ministry of Justice, from the Solicitor General's office, Mr. Visero Kochomuhendo. So he kept providing those services along there. What I recall, I will talk about it. You know, it's also hard to talk of CAF sometimes. So I come in on 7th of June when the entire top management is already in place, and quite a number of other young managers and the other officers. But we did not find any functional system in place. There was no recruitment policy. There was no financial management policy. There was no procurement policy. There was nothing. It's like running your own home. You feel like you want to get a piece of roasted maize. You call someone, go and buy. And there you are eating your piece of maize. I said, no, this cannot continue. Now we had the Ministry of Works and Transport have a very, very strong hand in managing the airline. When I reached, I said, no, I think you people, you are our supervisors. You supervise. Let's do our work now that we are here. So I tried as much as possible to detach the ministry and its influence. But they retained only one which they refused to part with, although I fought hard with. You can travel any time there is a problem. If a director, say in terms of safety, got some information that there is a problem in Juba, and he has to jump on Rwanda Air, now to go to the ministry to do that process becomes a very complicated exercise. So I was saying maybe we could have I don't know what I can call, like the officers and staff. Let the CEO handle. Now, for the top management, let the board handle. And for the board, let the ministry handle. I had wanted it to be segmented like that, but it didn't work. But by and large, most of the issues, they left them, and we really tried our best to handle them. And by the time I left, I can tell you we had the finance. Let me check the exact nomenclature. We had the let me see what I can recall all of them. We had a finance manual, a financial management manual. We had a procurement manual. We had a human resource manual. We had that's some other small documents, but we had about 8 or 9 issues done. I look at one of my reports and update you. So, that is briefly the background. We developed a charter. Airlines operate on charters. Not chartering a plane, but there is a charter, some kind of constitution that defines roles. Yes, please. That defines roles of the board, roles of management, and role of the CEO, role of the chairman, and how they must meet. And so, because of the young airline, and the business is a daily business, issues come almost every other day. I did not allow the usual board. I said this is not a usual board. It's not a board that has found a business that is now senior, that is now, operational 100%. It's not an agency board. It's not a usual board. It's a board that is sorting issues almost on a daily basis. So I proposed that the board must meet once every week, every month, and it was accepted. And for me and the CEO, we had a schedule. I had to make sure I meet the CEO every 2 months, 2 weeks. Before, in the middle of the month, and before I call my board, to be updated on what is going on, but also for the CEO to respond to certain issues which I would pick. And that's how we had established the relationship. Along the way, there will always be a problem between managers and boards. As possible, these entities wouldn't have boards. They don't like boards because they don't like answering questions. So I think at some point, I'll again look at the dates. When we had an annual general meeting, there was a proposal that the board now should sit 3 months, 3 monthly, quarterly, not monthly. And I knew this was there was some politics behind. Then I said, well, if that's how you see it, we have no problem. For me, I was building your entity. I have given up so many things to this. If we want these people to take a long time before they report to us, that's your business. I have no problem. So the meeting of monthly was changed by the shareholders, and then we reverted back to the 3 monthly meeting. But I warned them, I said, you people, this is a business. A business is handled by precision. You don't simply leave management to handle that. It's not URA, it's not the investment authority, it's not the microfinance where you meet once and you approve monies. No. This is an entity which gets problems daily. This is an entity which is opening routes, which has a program of opening routes every other time. Because once you don't fly, once you don't transact, you have no business. By the time I left, I think we were flying an average of 5 hours for every aircraft per day. And the optimum for an aircraft, it must be between 8 and 10 hours for the Bombardier. 50% operational capacity is reasonable for a starting airline, but certainly not optimal. So we had to run and make sure we open as many routes as possible. And opening routes is also a process that is not simple. It involves 4 institutions. It involves Ministry of Works, it involves Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it involves Civil Aviation Authority, and of course the benefiting airline. So when these ones play hard to get, you don't move much. And you are talking about our side, but you have a similar structure in the destination country. The civil authority in Congo, you have Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Congo, you have ministries, entities. But for us, they are combined. So the process is not that easy. Well, we tried to push. Now, when you had the, they are from different entities. It is their job, but you see, they want now money from the airlines so that they can go into those negotiations, and then you play your rules of engagement using your mother ministry. So I don't know how to proceed. Should I jump and say this is how things started? You'll be guiding me. But one fundamental change I made, in those monthly meetings, actually in the first month, first 2 months, we would meet at least twice, like in June and July. I must have conducted board meetings like 4 or 5 times. There are reasons. And I realized that up to the time we went in commercial in August, I realized that the airline is actually being managed by one person. But this person doesn't have that adequate clout to make decisions. And this person was Conwell Mleya. I didn't know him. I realized Wagenda was just there as some people would want to call it figurehead, for lack of a better word. He wasn't doing anything. He was just in the office, a few small things. But his job is just maintaining an aircraft. And I kept getting feelers that he was even not happy, that these things he cannot manage them. They are too much, especially when we started interfacing with him. I had very tough people like Charles Hamia who wouldn't take any nonsense. You had to explain certain things, and Bagenda was not up to the job. So I negotiated with the two, Bagenda and Conwell. I said, Bagenda, I have noted this, but I also had this. Is it true? Bagenda said, Chairman, you have saved me. I just don't want this thing. Tell me, what do we do? Then I proposed that because the director of maintenance and engineering was a young man who was acting. So I said, would you want this other position so that you keep mentoring these others? He said, but why don't you leave me and I retire? He said, there are times when you reach retirement and you... I said, no, Bagena, with your expertise, this is a young airline, you started it, you cannot desert it at this time. Please allow me to talk to my colleagues and the ministry, and you take up this position at least for 2 years. I said, no, 1 year. I said, no, I will give you 2 years. Because for me, I know what it would mean if he left. So he accepted. Then I asked Conwell whether he could now come in as the acting CEO, which he was willing to do, because he was really good. He was good. He was, you could see he is the CEO, but hiding in the background. So I went to the board. I reported. I convinced them, and they agreed. Let's go with your suggestion. So that's how Conwell comes in, effective 1st of September. And then he becomes the acting CEO. We appoint him for 6 months as we now kick off the process of getting a substantive CEO, as we had been at least instructed to do by the shareholders at the inauguration. Now, the first problem that we confronted when we were looking for a new CEO, we developed terms of reference, and I thought it was not proper to use our procurement system. One, it was not yet in place. We had no manual yet. And the way the office was structured, I said, no, but this one, we can't give them that kind of task. In any case, Mulaya might be interested, an interested party. How does our procurement system, procurement office, handle an exercise of procuring a new CEO where the boss is an interested party? So we agreed that we use the ministry's procurement unit. So I wrote to the peers requesting for that service, which they rendered. But along the way, they recommended a funny company. It did not even meet 20% of what we had wanted that company to be like. So when I go to the report, we read through, said, this one.
Which company was that?
Do I remember the name? I remember the name.
That was to recruit CEO.
Yeah, to recruit a
Okay.
CEO, and recommend to the board at least 3 names, whom we would now interview and pick a CEO. So we sat with my board, we looked through the report, we looked at the CVs of the people of that company, and then we said, no, this one can't do a good job. The good thing, when we had the stakeholders meeting later on, the PS, I think, either he got a wind that I have not accepted, or he himself, when he got to the company and he saw the report, he advised when we had the stakeholders, we call it a stakeholders meeting the ministry and the board at the same time, because there's nowhere you'd place it in the whole establishment. He's the one who actually recommended to us that this he's not happy with the company that was recommended by his people. So we generally agreed that we drop it. So we dropped it, and then we tasked the CEO to go global, to go outside Uganda, to go outside East Africa, to look for companies that are known to recruit executives, preferably executives in the aviation industry. So we left it for them. In the meantime, we were caught up by time, and you see, some of the things I keep remembering as I narrate the story. Civil Aviation Authority has certain offices that you must have as a matter of necessity, otherwise you don't operate. And the regulator is also regulated internationally. You have what you call an accountable manager. Accountable manager is not like an accounting officer in our system of government. Accountable manager is somebody who is responsible, a technical expert in that field, who is responsible for anything that happens within that airline. And that person must be approved and appointed by Civil Aviation Authority. So when Mreya's, of course, the accountable manager was Wagenda. He continued being an accountable manager for a bit of time. But when it occurred that it is more neater for the account manager to be the CEO. When you do it at the same time, then it works out in a neater way. So we asked the Civil Aviation Authority to appoint Mulaya. They interviewed him rigorously and then eventually appointed him. So, and then having appointed him, then his contract kind of expired the 6 months. So we had no choice but to extend it for another 6 months as we search for a new CEO. Now, can I jump? See, I don't have any written notes, and I will tell you we are going on well, but a few issues started coming in, and I would meet the minister, I would brief him, we would talk together. I had that leeway to go to the minister without even an appointment. And then I sit with him, give him an update, brief him on what is going on, and sometimes he call me, and then I also come and explain, and So there were issues to do with the fuel. And the minister called me, and he says, "Have you seen this?" I said, "No." He said, "Why don't you come to the office?" So I went.
What was the issue exactly with fuel?
There was, I think, something on social media saying there is a cartel of people who are benefiting from high-cost, high-priced fuel. And they mentioned certain companies and a destination route, and that was Somalia. So when the minister told me about that, then I said, let me find out. So I called the CEO, we sat, and then we agreed. I got Somalia. So I arranged with our do they call it an embassy? High Commission in Somalia. So I went there. I visited a number of places. I visited so I was given the system, how we get the fuel. I asked about the companies which were being talked about, and I interfaced with the High Commissioner and his deputy and some of his officers. I interfaced with the UPDF commanders. I interfaced with our service providers, ground handling and the travel. So I got the system, how it operates. I came back, wrote a report to the minister, and also briefed the board. Then we got interested in certain other aspects of the airline. Majorly, there were complaints in uniform. There were complaints on food. There were issues on insurance. And of course, yes, please.
What was the problem exactly, and what did you discover?
Now, the fuel, I think there is a company which had been contracted to be the sole, and I looked at the agreement. I have the documents here. It was contracted to provide fuel for the aircrafts of Uganda Airlines in all destination areas, those that were operational at that time and those that would come into operation. And this is a middle, what do we call a broker?
Broker, middleman?
Something like a middleman. There are those brokers internationally. Now, when I reach Somalia, then I find those who are fueling our aircraft are a company, a fuel supply like you can have Shell or Total. Now, for them, they are contracted by the other broker. And when I questioned them so much, they said, by the way, you are losing money for nothing. For us, we can even give you fuel directly from ourselves without using the broker. That you see, what all we need to do is to come to your office in Kampala, in Entebbe. We look at your offices, we look at your facilities, and then we agree, because these fuel companies, sometimes they can give you fuel on credit and you pay later, or you pay up front, depending on the terms of arrangement. And this guy had even said, for us, we can give you at least an allowance of 3 months before you pay us. We can also negotiate that. But that's not a big issue. And there you'd be saving a lot of money. So I came and put it in my report, and it became a recommendation.
Who had signed this contract with this broker, the middleman?
I think, remember, it was Wagenda. Wagenda's signature is there. And Wagenda and Mulea. Wagenda and Mulea, I think. Mulea is a technical advisor, Wagenda is CEO. Yeah, but they say those contracts would be cleared by the Solicitor General. I will give you the things. I am carrying too much in this bag. I will give you those copies, and you get copies from there. So the fuel became an issue. I'm trying to bring you some issues. Then I got information from some of the staff and that the person who was given the contract to supply uniform first of all, did not do it in the proper way, but also the uniform was substandard. And yet, the cost was high. So I tasked them to give me the figures and what. So we got that information. And the uniform also became an issue. The Director of Finance gave us a brief on the food. And on the food, there were comparative prices. When you are in business class, what is the cost of food in Uganda Airlines? What is the cost of food?
See, my friend Perez.
Yes.
We're still interested in the fuel. You came, you wrote a report. Did you physically brief the minister?
Yes, please.
What was
and I gave him the report.
And what was his
because
reaction?
He's the one who sent me.
What was his reaction?
No, he got the report, that's all, because now what will we discuss?
So no action was taken about the report?
I'm coming.
I'm trying to see how we focus this conversation and
uniform, fuel, and then food. Now, what we are looking at was, look here, you people, go back to those contracts you signed with these people, go to the market, make sure we supply, these people supply on comparative prices with other airlines. Why should we pay $15 to $20 more on each package of food when the rest of the airlines are paying relatively cheaper? and yet the food is almost similar. So that one became an issue. Later on, you people, do your own investigation, because me, I'm not an investigator, but I'm trying to point to you that maybe behind those contracts, there are some beneficiaries. That's what I'm trying to bring out. There could be, because these are things we found in place, and we are trying to unearth. The fourth issue was insurance. Insuring an airplane is not an easy thing. So we have insurance brokers. Now, one of these insurance brokers, in fact, the insurance broker was in London. The insurance broker was in London, and the insurer was also in London. So the question is, why do you go to London to look for both the broker and the insurer? Yes, brokerage is a common thing. It is a standard in these transactions. But did you have to go to Willis? And how much are we paying Willis compared to if the brokerage company was a Ugandan? And they are there. If a brokerage company is Ugandan, the Ugandan company would still go to the insurer, because those insurer planes, there are not very many companies. You'll find there are 3 in the whole of UK. And everybody goes for those. But a brokerage company, and you are paying so much money to this broker in UK.
How much on average was being paid?
I wouldn't remember the figures, but me, I'm now a policeman. I just tell you, then you find out the figures. The director of finance has all that. So I said now in one of our board meetings, I brought out. By the way, there was even an issue of media agency. Media agency, which I also questioned. Said, you are insisting on putting a media agency to promote Uganda Airlines. The same media agency is supposed to handle Rwanda Air. The same media agency is handling Kenya Airways. They are your competitors. Are you serious, people?
Which media agency was that?
It was let me check here. Some of these are just at least that one I succeeded to block. This is Scanned. It is an Indian company, and it works for Rwanda Air and Kechu. And behind it, there were people who were pushing for it, and the information came. So I'm trying to show you, and you asked me, what happened? Why were you chased away from the So I'm trying to give you the background. So in one of our board meetings, we made recommendations. Said, 1, you must review this fuel supply mechanism. The CEO was not terribly agreeable to it. He said, go back and review this. We are spending too much money, and by the way, the biggest item on an aircraft that will make you never to break even is fuel. It's the biggest component. It's fuel. Please go and review this with the view of bringing out the prices to match competitive prices on the market. 2, you must review the prices of food. We can't be paying $60 or to 50 or 45 or something, when others are paying 30, 20, 35. Why? What's unique with the food we give? 3, we said advertise the procurement of uniform with immediate effect. Whoever procured the other one, don't go back. Advertise so that it is competitive. People bring samples. We consult those who are good at quality, control. So we know we are getting uniform of quality, where staff are not going to complain. I said, go and make sure you review the insurance contract with the view of removing a very expensive middle brokerage, company. If they are charging a certain percentage, please let it go down. Either they are willing to reduce it to the level where a brokerage in Uganda is willing to supply the services. So we had about those 4 or 5 areas, and that's where I saw things starting to become problematic. I'm not saying there is a relationship, don't misquote me. I'm not saying there is a correlation, but I'm saying that at that time there was a problem. And the problem, I think, is a document that we eventually got. Now, before that, somebody on my board accused the CEO of certain stakeholder engagements that I can understand. Then I said, now, that this man goes to Gulu and he meets General Saleh, and he said, but Chairman, are you briefed when someone is going or when someone has come back? Then I said, no, I'm not briefed. Did you have evidence? I said, yes. So time came when we asked, are you summoned? When you're summoned, don't you go with someone? Don't you inform the chairman? I've been asked to. The other time the president called you, and you called, you came and whispered to me, and you said you have been called to go to Kisozi. And I said, go. It's okay, I know. So why do you go into these meetings without telling people? And people are complaining. The CEO, people are complaining. So eventually in our minutes we said the CEO should always either inform the chairman or go with.
Microphone.
No,
Can you clarify, were they complaining because he was using funds to go and meet Salim Saleh, or they were complaining because he was going without informing them and them not knowing what he was discussing with the general?
Because when you drive to Gulu, you are using public money. When you are engaging a stakeholder, why do we actually we ended up with the stakeholder matrix, engagement matrix for the organization. So you have to be one unit when you are in an organization. When you start going behind people and people realize, because they also have their networks, then they will complain. So somebody raised this matter in my board, and I made a follow-up, and I asked the CEO, and we advised him.
The former CEO?
Yeah, the current one, I even don't know. The former one. So we advised him on how to engage. And eventually, actually, he ended up writing a dossier. That's why he's even annoyed that he wrote a dossier to the president, and the president, he was surprised to get the treatment he got. And to me, it's bad management, it's poor management. You don't write yes, you can raise issues with the board, but if the board is now reluctant to handle them, then you can say it. And then you don't raise issues about your colleagues you are working with, and then you put them in a clandestine report. It was not good, really. And I told him, I said, no, this was a mistake, and now it has caught up with you. Why would you do that? You write about people whom you are working with, who have had trust in you. So there were those weaknesses in handling people and managing there are other small details that I wouldn't want to mention here, which are managerial. So I want to quickly, in April, on Monday, 2021, isn't it? 2021, yeah, sorry. On 26th, the minister calls me and says, Chairman, how are you? I'm fine. Where are you? I said, I'm in Makerere. Okay, the Honorable General Katumba Amara, he had already come in. And then he says, can you come and we'll have a meeting at the Ministry of Finance in Matia Kaseja's office at 4? Today I said, yes, I'm available. At 4 I was there. And the three of us met, and he had an envelope, a key envelope. He first removed the contents, which looked like a letter, gave Matia to read. Matia read and read and read and read. At some point I would say him doing this. I didn't know, I was reading body language. So eventually, the PS joined us, PS works. So we are 4 in Matia's office. So eventually the minister now, Minister Katumba, reads out the contents of the letter. The letter is written by the president. The letter is saying there are issues to do with mismanagement in the airline. There are issues to do with corruption in the airline. And he has a report to that effect. And that he's directing to send on leave the entire top management of the airline. That's number 1. Number 2, the president has appointed Jennifer Vamuturaki Musime as acting CEO for 3 months, to be assisted by retired Captain Stephen Wegwe, but the president says he has appointed an investigator who should complete the investigation in those 3 months and must give a fair hearing to all of them. It was like a bombshell to all of us. They all looked at me. Then I said, well, 1, there is no way I can send the entire top management on leave, because all those directors and managers have no deputies. This is a small organization. It is just starting. If it is a CEO, he has no deputy. He can only leave somebody, if he's going for a week, some director to be overseeing the place while he's away. If he's director of finance, he has no deputy. If he is manager, he has no deputy. So are you saying we close the company for now? Two, there are people who call post holders. Post holders are mandatory. You can't touch them. You remove one, you have to put another one. And we put another one, that person must be qualified and approved, and assessed and approved by Civil Aviation Authority, the regulator. Now, these are 5. Director, flight operations, can't touch him. Director safety, same thing. Maintenance and engineering, same thing. Quality assurance, same thing. So, ground handling, now, you have no airline, in short. Then I said, well, if there are suspicions of corruption and mismanagement, can I know in detail? If it is money, then I will ask the Director of Finance to go and leave. At least we shall find a way of. If it is the Director, HR manager or something, let me see. Then we allocate the responsibilities so that we leave others working. Unless you want us to park the aircraft. So on that one, the 2 ministers agreed with me. I said, I think the chairman is right. Let's try and see where we can adjust, but the business continues. The second, I said, you people, something I hadn't told you, those people who were in the interim management were there for a probation of 6 months, after which they would be confirmed into service. But for reasons that were brought to the board, top management in the airline, they sat, appraised everyone. And Jennifer was found, she was director commercial. She was found incompetent. I will still use the words I've used in my narrative, in my letters. She was insubordinate, she was incompetent, and she was proved to be involved in financial impropriety. And the CEO brought a recommendation to the board. I looked at it, I shared with my colleagues, and then we said, no, we cannot rely on you. We shall ask Jennifer to come here, and we cross-check with her. So we asked Jennifer to come. We told the CEO, come with her. And then when the CEO came, he had no Jennifer. Where is the lady? That he went to ask around, they said she has gone to Nairobi. Okay. So now you have someone to come and listen to you. There are issues that have been leveled against her. There is evidence there. She has an appraisal report from her boss. Then we said, what do we do? So we didn't confirm her at that time. So you don't confirm her, she's not in employment. She took us to court. Now that's another story. So, but now, that was, yes, I just reminisced back. So, the girl resurfaces as the recommended person for acting CEO. For me, I tell the ministers, I say, please save me the embarrassment. It is either me or Jennifer. Because I'm a principled person, I am not here because I want a job. Everybody wants a job. But a job without integrity is also not a job. And for me, that's not how I work. Everywhere I am here, I was here for all the time. I was a leader here, I was a minister. You will never find that there is somewhere where, errors can be there, but errors and deliberate funny things are different. So I said, this girl, we did not confirm her into service for these reasons. The lady, yes.
Let's refer to her as a lady.
Well. Sorry. No, sometimes it is just a slip of tongue. MPs were sometimes oversensitive, but it's just language. So, the lady, we did confirm into office. I am the one who took a decision together with my board. I signed the letter. I can never be seen to sit on the table because a CEO is an ex-official on the board. No, ex-official. Then I said, no, I don't think this one I can accept. And actually, I risked something. I said, by the way, I am not a lawyer, but under the law, I don't think even the president has powers to appoint anybody in a company. The laws are there, which we follow. I don't think there is anywhere where I have seen the president can appoint a CEO of a company, even if it is a public company, where the government has majority shares. You are lawyers, I don't know, but it came to my mind and I said, I don't think so. Because now, if this person gets problems, who is answerable? Whom does the law know? The law knows Pereza and his board members as the appointing authority, as the people who discipline management, as people who we are registered in the Uganda Youth Services Bureau. The law knows me. I'm not going to be hanged because I want to stick to a job. I was asked to come and give a service. If this one continues, I will just jump out. I saw the ministers, they have nothing to do. But Matia proposed that General Katuma makes an appointment with the president. And then I come and explain to him why I think it is not in order. And we concluded on that note. But again, on the others, I went through the documents, and then we allocated some of those suspicions to about 5 officers. So those are the ones we met, and I wrote their leave letters. And the CEO involved, he was the 6th. But the following day, early in the morning, General Katuma calls me and says, Chairman, good morning. He even made fun with me and said, how is your pressure level? I said, Mr. Minister, I did not sleep. I don't know how to handle this. But I said, now relax, relax. The president has agreed with you. He has now withdrawn Jennifer's name. But look for Stephen Wegoye, which I did. For that day, I looked for Wegoye. I sat with him. I interfaced with him. I had my own, my own reservations, but that was now managing some, what I would want to call a crisis in courts. And since he has, a few of these people have been around, maybe 3 months is not a very long time, he could hang in there for now. But I asked General Katuma, now we can't act on the letter of the president. In my view, and the laws I have here with me, there is nowhere the president comes in. You are the shareholder, you are the supervisor, write to the chairman, office, and the vehicle, and the driver, and other necessities that his office requires. But when we are still sitting, I had just finished signing and endorsing every page, and we had done the same. Then Wegoye says, hey, but Mr. Chairman, there are 2 people who want to come and join this meeting. Who are those? There's Jennifer Mturaki, Musime, and Brenda Wadri. I said, who is Brenda Wadri? Brenda Wadri is the investigator who has been appointed by the president. And who is Jennifer Mturaki? I said, Jennifer Mturaki has been given to me as an aide. I said, yeah, okay. I said, fine. Now, my instructions are to give you a job. I have asked the company secretary, as our legal officer here, to draft the contract and to be a witness to this function. Now, why would your aide want to be in a meeting with me? And then I told him, Brenda Wadri should be formal. If he wants to meet the chairman on the other assignment, let her write and say, Mr. Chairman, I have been tasked by whatever authority to ask you the following questions, and please, I want to interface with you. Give me an appointment. That one is perfectly okay. Yesterday is when I had the board. Today, I am giving you a job, Wegoye. It's only 2 days ago that the whole thing. Now the investigator is not even, I am in Entebbe. No, I said, no, let the investigator be formal. And then with Jennifer, that one is your aide, I don't know. But what I don't want here, because we don't have such a post in this airline, we don't even have a budget for it. I don't want to hear that you are touching public money, paying out allowances and whatever for non-existent positions. Said, no. That one is catered for. She will be handled by State House. I said, fine, I have no problem. So I said, in afternoon at 2 p.m., my board members are coming. I will introduce them to you, and then you talk about yourself, and you see how you are going to be working together. I went away. That was around 11. At 2, I was there. As I was with my board members chatting, the company secretary comes and says, Chairman, Wegoye is on the way, but he's insisting he wants to come with his aide. I said, come on, Bisereko. This is a board meeting. This is a board meeting. A board meeting has members. You can only come in when you are invited, and for a specific reason. We invite technical staff if we have financial issues to handle. Then we say, CEO, come with your director. If we have appointments to make, CEO, come with your HR manager to clarify certain things. But you don't simply come and sit as if you're a board member. I said, no. Tell Ogoye that I don't want to see a non-board member in my meeting. So Ogoye comes alone, we meet, then we leave. So I leave him to do his work. We also retreat to our own things. This is now on the 1st of May. On the 18th of May, I get a phone call from the Prime Minister, then Dr. Wakana Rugunda. He asks me questions about the airline. I say, hey, Prime Minister, these things, we can't talk and exhaust them on phone. He said, can you come to my office today? Where are you? I'm in Makerere. Come to my office at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. I am there. I find he has photocopied a letter. He gives me to read through. I read through first page, second page, then I just laugh. What is in the letter? I will mention 3 things which are relevant. By powers entrusted to me by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 98.1 and Article 99.1, I hereby direct as follows. The CEO of Uganda Airlines, Conway Muleya, is now suspended. Now it is from leave to suspension. No, the letter is signed by, you know.
Please go ahead so that we see how we deal with this quickly.
I read through, and what surprises me, they are even very tiny officers. Their names even appear. One of them, the name is not even known in full. And a one Andrew, office administrator, something like that. Then I said, but really, is the president writing this kind of letter or what? Anyway, behind the next page, I hereby appoint Jennifer Mturaki Musime as acting CEO. Then the last paragraph, the board is also suspended. Because it is alleged some of them are involved in corruption, whatever. Signed Joel Ssenyonyi, president. I laugh. I said, I told Rugunda. Then away, I don't think I would stay long. So what I do, we chat over a few things, but Rugunda is just a nice man. He says, now what you do, we need to work on clearing your name. Because assuming the president has got wrong information about you. So you need to now position yourself and let him know what your position is. And I thought it was good advice. I went. I will give you a copy. On each of the issues, you also write to him. It does no harm. And when I wrote him, I even sought for an audience with him, but it never came to pass. Although I was told in some meeting, and that he promised to call me, and I'm still waiting for the call. So that marked the. So eventually they are renewed, and in the end. Yes, please.
For the management for 3 months. What about for the board?
3 months. So along the way, we meet quite a number of people. I remember General Saleh also came in. I interacted with his team for 3 days, and I think they also wrote their own report. And but things. I kept wondering, but legally, what is this? Good enough. There is another Attorney General, so he's in place. I had never met him. I didn't know him. I used to hear about him. So I called him and asked him for an appointment. And he said he would call me within a week, and religiously, he called me on a Friday evening, and he was saying, I go and we meet him on Wednesday. So I went to his office on Wednesday or Tuesday, one of those two. Then I said, okay, so what are the legal issues you want to raise so I told him. When I told him, he noted, and then he said, yeah, I think there could be a problem there. Said, okay, I'm going to call the minister and then we shall sort it. So when eventually I was there.
Honorable Linda and Justine, let's have some order.
And then I was told that the Attorney General gave legal advice that by the way, I was told that the President wrote to the IGG and sent there the document, and then with a view of investigating, prosecution, and conviction, something like that. The Attorney General also guided that the shareholders should meet the board members, then the board members meet top management, then within management, they constitute a committee to look at the young officers, the junior officers. So the shareholders invited us individually. So I met them. I have the dates here. We interfaced. Separately, each of the board members met the shareholders separately. And we have Jennifer. You chased her away. You didn't confirm into office. Now you are here. Then for me, I said clearly, please, 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 give me peace. Where I have left the airline, let somebody else take over. As a matter of principle, just let me go. Remember, the period was extending and extending. So for 3 months, for another 3 months. So I said, now, you pay me what was due to me, and I leave. And I don't know the view of my colleagues. Everyone talked for himself. We all unanimously agreed we cannot work with somebody whom we hold these kind of views. Some of these people, by the way, they are. Catherine, she's a director of corporate and simple affairs in Stanbic Bank. These people have built profiles. They have built, their careers. So you have to find a way of protecting these people's careers. Some two directors, one is a director in the Ministry of Transport and Works. Another one is a very big man in the Ministry of Finance. So my job, for me, I'm a politician. I can be, politicians. You can be Madden here, Kaudang here, whatever your shirt and your throat, whether it is there or not. For us, we have accepted that verdict. But these technical people are to be protected. The articles and memoranda of association. So the Attorney General drafted, can I call it agreements? Something like that. Agreements with the calculated send-offs, and we signed and endorsed. So that marked my 2 years existence in the airline, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarification, so you became board chair. Okay, keep checking for that, so that we. Okay, Honorable Perez Ahabwe, I wanted to get clarification on, but I thought it's important you clarify the issue of fuel, food, insurance, uniform. You said many of these amounts were inflated. Paint a picture. Inflated to what tune, and what evidence did you gather that can ascertain that? Yeah. You also raised the issue of Jennifer Bamuturaki being incompetent, insubordinate, and involved in conflict of interest, and so on and so forth. I wanted you to elucidate on this. Yeah? On what basis? When you say she was insubordinate, what happened exactly? When you talk about incompetence, shed light so that we have a good understanding of these issues that you have raised. Are we still together? Okay, so maybe because I'm trying to see how we redeem time also, what specifically are you looking for? Which specific document now? Okay, let's do this as you look for that, because we need to keep moving, Honorable. So what's that exactly?
Now,
your microphone is off.
Like I said, when I went to Mogadishu, I established that there was a company called MixJet. MixJet is the middleman company that had been procured. Yes? Now it procured, it also engaged another company called something, I'll get it, which was now giving us fuel from Mogadishu. Now the calculation of the Director of Finance said that if you were to be supplied directly, our plane goes to Mogadishu, it gets from their fuel company, and it comes back to Entebbe. You'd reduce the fuel cost by 10-20%. Yes? But somehow the 10-20% cost of fuel was benefiting the middleman. Yes? So for us, our mission was, when you want to get profit, you have to reduce some costs. But the allegation that had come from social media was that there is a cartel of people who are benefiting from that kind of arrangement. I don't have the skills to have investigated that. You wouldn't. But if somebody picked it, maybe he would pick it. But I came and reported, gave a report to the minister, and I briefed my board about my trip. So my thinking is that the minister should have taken maybe some action on that.
Okay, about uniforms,
for them, uniform,
food, insurance.
Uniform, mainly the complaint was about the quality of the uniform and the procurement method which they used to get somebody to supply the uniform. for maybe I shouldn't put somebody in trouble, but from Mogadishu, I am in business class alone. So one of the crew members, after serving me tea, says, "Chairman, can you give me a few minutes of yours and I tell you a story?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." Then this crew member, very senior person, she told me that, "Look, Chairman, there are these issues. For us who have worked in this industry, look at this shirt, look at this coat. This is not the standard of the things of the airline. Look at the way it has started peeling." Then she brought her bag. "Look at the peelings. This bag is not even 2 months old. That these things are completely substandard." And the person who was given to supply them, I think there was ABC. I think it was like somebody you go and contact people and get us the info. And that person, I think, was even a member of staff. So I picked that. So after picking it, I came and shared, and I talked to the CEO. I said, "Please, why don't you rectify these things? Get the procurement process right. I can understand where we are coming from. You didn't have a structure. You didn't have... But now we have a manual. We have a system. We are trying to establish systems so that they operate very well. The next batch of uniforms, because as you open routes, of course, you recruit more people. So I said, you subject this to a proper procurement process." Okay? Now, the insurance, I told you about it. But the food, this is an assessment by some of our people. This one. The food is supplied by a company called New West. But when you and this they charge 31.54 per plate in business class. $31.54 in business class, then 15.14 for economy. But when you compare with a company like New West, it supplies at $22 in business class, and then 9.47 in economy. Then there's another called LSG. It supplies at 10.64 in business class and 5.41 in economy. So now you can see the gap. If you are a serious businessman, you are not going for the one who is supplying at a very high cost, and supply the same type of product in terms of quality, and then you see what would I be managing. So I directed that these things should be either reviewed for purpose of bringing down the cost, or we give the procurement to some other competing company, which can give us at a reasonable price.
Okay, maybe if you could give us that document so that
somebody can
make a copy.
Yeah,
that's okay. We're going to make a copy.
By the way, this is a report that I wrote on the 21st of May.
Yes.
2021, and I wrote it to the General Edward Katumba Amara, and I gave copies to. This one has no copies, but.
Okay. Please respond to this issue of that you read copies.
Yeah, give me that.
What you want to talk about is still here.
Everything is here. and I have other documents which I kept following up. And one of the items is termination of Jennifer Muturaki's contract. Now, in terms of incompetence, you see, for me, a board chairman.
Please get to the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
And if you need some water, we do have.
For me, as a board chairman, I rely on the recommendations of the supervising officer. Now, Jennifer's supervisor is the CEO. It's not the duty of the board to know how the managers operate. They have their mechanisms, they have their ways, how they manage themselves. But our job, we get recommendations, then we discuss them, then we act on them. But of course, some of them, I will say how personal I also saw that sometimes things are not right. The CEO appraises staff, either for confirmation, or for promotion, or for disciplinary action. But the top management, you cannot just discipline them. You can recommend disciplinary action to the board, because the board appoints the CEO and top managers, directors and managers. So you cannot, or even suspension, without the board knowing or approving that process. So when the evaluation of all of this was done, the CEO comes with a report to the board, recommending some to be confirmed into service. But in the case of Jennifer, he says she's not recommended for the following reasons. I wouldn't say I'm a witness to incompetence. I think that's the job of the CEO. But at least I read a document on financial impropriety, and there is evidence to that. And I think the CEO challenged even the appointment of a company called Abavata as a media agency, because it was headhunted. No, there were other agencies, but Jennifer, being a director commercial, she has a lot to say in procuring that company. You know, that time there were no processes, there was no procurement manual, there was nothing. So this Abavata company, again, the CEO comes with the recommendation that we terminate their services, and Jennifer writes protesting against that. So we try and do some kind of analytical relationship. Quietly, there is something happening on the social front that Abavata has a director who has a relationship, very close relationship with Jennifer. In my write-up, I used polite, some polished language. I didn't want to put it so strongly. But until I got a record later on to confirm it. So Abavata belongs to a person called Odeke Mark. DK, I think something like that, and a Kenyan called Lezili something. Now, in 2018, I think, you can cross-check that date, Jennifer changed her names because I think they had a traditional, wedding of some sort. The other guy is the boyfriend, or I don't know how you want to call it, and she becomes a witness on every document that is every contract that Abavata has, including the contract that was given to Abavata on recommendation of Jennifer in the airline. In one of the claims, Jennifer claims money which is inflated by over $200,000. And this is brought to the attention of the board. And the CEO convinces us through evidence. He has papers, he has everything. He instructed people to analyze everything and found they had inflated, the cost was actually 170 something, around $175. These ones were claiming 400 and something dollars, a difference of over $200,000. And then Jennifer had no explanation to make, and on that basis, the CEO said, no, I don't think this person is fit to continue in this position. So he recommends that we don't confirm her into service. Like I said earlier, I said no, but it is not fair. How about if the figures are not, or these allegations are not? I think we need to find out that one. So we invited Jennifer through the CEO to come now interface with us, because the board is the one that appointed her. It may not have been my board, but it is the board that appointed her, and it is the board that must deal with her issues. Said, no, we cannot simply not confirm someone. We shall have to hear her. So we convene a board, like the one of today. She had been given a notice. Please come with the CEO to the board. We want to hear your issue. So the CEO comes without her. So, but what is it, Jennifer? Then this lady, I told her, when we reached the office, I was told she just went to Nairobi. You mean as a worker, your worker, your staff can leave the workstation, go on an aircraft, go outside the country, use company funds without your clearance? The CEO said she did not inform me. And you know, in the beginning, when an aircraft is say going to Nairobi and you are a staff and you have something to do there, all you need is just tell people at the airport to give you a ticket. You don't pay. You don't pay. You just give the boarding pass and you go. So that's what she did. And it was unanimous by the board that we don't confirm her as recommended. So we saw issues of the CEO appraised her. I even have a copy of the appraisal report. It is his job to appraise a worker, a staff. So that's the background to that one. And then she took us to court. So we are still with her in court, and then all of a sudden I saw a letter from her lawyers saying that she has withdrawn the case. Now A week later, she was being appointed acting CEO. So that is the story. The rest of the documents, I can always look for them. I have plenty of them here.
Okay. Let me open it up to colleagues. Yes, Honorable Nsibambi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I came in late. The narrative here is like you were sort of in a Nigerian movie, but I'll try to compose myself. It's like a movie. Mr. Chairman and honorable members, I want Honorable Ahabwe, senior as he is, to talk about the undue influence from the Ministry of Works, specifically the Minister of State for Works. Matters to do with the appointment of staff and procurement. If you can give us specific cases, because the document you've submitted is not clear. We really want to find out the role of the ministry, the the minister and the PS and other members of staff who are actually not in the structure of a company called Uganda Airlines Limited. Then the other day, Mr. Chairman, when we interfaced with the minister, and I would agree with the minister, he said the moment he comes up with the directives, whether from the president or personal directives, as a board, you're supposed to implement in accordance with the law. You have actually exhibited some bit of courage, and you appear to be a man of principle. But whatever you're saying is just verbal. The directives and the communication from the minister were written. Do you have any formal response apart from that one on 21st May to do with saying you have no powers, for example, the president to manage, actually micromanage an institution which is supposed to be governed in accordance with different rules and regulations? So if you have something like that in writing, can you please supply? Because now it's your word, actually their word, which is formal, against yours. Yours is basically you're now telling us, I said no, I met Rugunda, even going out to go and meet people outside the major structures. That engagement itself was ultra-vires. And I would agree, it must be a body matter. But where you are forced and compelled to go there, do you have anything formally written to say no? If you don't, it's okay, but I'll be, because for them, they tricked you into writing. And the minister is saying that, for me, the moment I give a directive, you're not supposed to implement because you are an organ which is independent. And you must now do it in accordance with the law. So kindly please supply us with those documents. If you don't have the documents, then explain why didn't you formally respond. We don't want to go to the report because the report was a general report when things were now helter-skelter. But really, if I got a directive from the president, I refused when I was a member of the land board. I even had to go to court because it has no powers. And the Constitutional Court agreed with me. So maybe but I just want to see something formally written from the board or a minute, at least, of the meeting.
Okay. So capture that, capture the issues. I want to pick maybe 3 or so questions, then you respond at once. Honorable.
This with the one of the Honorable Nsibambi. When the chair said that he advised the minister that you put all these things that the president has directed in writing to me, so that I call the board to take a decision as mandated by the law. But then, somewhere he said, on 28th of that month, I don't remember the month, you issued the letters of suspension, I think, to the staff in question. And then you appointed the new CEO before your board meeting. Then after, you said after? Okay, but why did you issue letters of suspension or letters of leave before you engaged your board? And yet you said you advised the minister to put it in writing so that you follow the proper procedures as it is in the law. Why did you do that?
Okay. Any other question for now? Okay, please respond. Rabahabu, you're still writing the questions?
Yeah, I was right. You know, some of these entities, at which you found them, I want us to really agree that you are talking about an organization that was like real, started on paper, that has no structures, that has no, and you are dealing with a very delicate situation where you must take decisions quickly. To call a board meeting, first of all, board meetings are structured. They are structured in a way that you have to call a board meeting every 3 months of clearance from the minister. To call an extraordinary board meeting, you had to first write to the minister. 2, you see, Honorable Swambi, we are dealing with, in my view, you are dealing with a head of state who even, and some people, a number of other high-ranking people had said no, but the man insisted. So you are looking at a business that somebody has some kind of attachment, some kind of personal interest in its transactions. And you are dealing with the by the word personal interest, don't think I'm talking about the other, I'm saying individual enthusiasm, passion. Yeah, that's a better word, passion. And it's not an ordinary person. You are talking about a head of state, a president. Now you are talking about an organization that is 100% supported by government, with 2 shareholders, a minister of finance and a minister of works, who are appointees of the president. Now you are dealing with a minister who is a shareholder, and you are a subordinate, you are a board. So you have to weigh certain things that are far-reaching from those that are not. Like sending you on leave, I wouldn't call a whole board that I'm going to send somebody on leave for 3 months because of this and this circumstance.
Money that they generate from the Uganda Airlines belongs to the people of this country. I have been reading your mind the way you have been speaking. Between the 3 people, the president, the Ministry of Finance, which is a shareholder, and the works, who became the problem? Because their problem could have caused the loss of the money. And I also blame some of you who are ministers and people in the top leadership of this country, because you all fear to tell the president the truth. You want to advise him on what he wants. So you tell him the advice on really what he wants. None of you can come out openly to say, Mr. President, I stand firm, this is wrong. If we do this, it is going to derail the country. Now tell us, according to your experience, with the changes which has happened in Uganda Airlines, do you think some good thing will come out from Uganda Airlines or not? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Baka, then Honorable Linda.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'm asking Honorable Ivory, as a cadre, do you still wish to meet His Excellency the President so that you can express your good ideas, because you mentioned about the passionate the president has with the airline, which is true. We were all struggling to see that we also have an airline flying. Remember the debate of the dry lease, wet lease, and seeing Rwanda flying, and we are not flying, and we are all looking towards seeing even more flights of Uganda Airlines. Would you wish to get an opportunity and meet His Excellency so that you also identify areas which you saw that can be for the betterment of our Uganda Airlines?
Yes, Honorable Linda.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. For me, I would like to inquire from the Chairperson, Honorable Ahabwe, whether the President's letter to suspend the top leadership of Uganda Airlines due to corruption was as a result of his findings that there was a lot of corruption in terms of fuel, where they were paying high cost of fuel, high cost of food. The media company that was advertising for the airline, was it as a result of your findings that the President had to write this letter that there was corruption, or the President had a separate team that carried out the investigations to inform him? Thank you.
Okay, let me ask one more, and then you combine yourself to General Edward Katumba Wamala, Minister of Works. This was October 22nd, 2021. And herein you raise a couple of issues. I just want to read a paragraph. At the launch of the event, receiving the first CRJ-900 Bombardier aircraft, the airline incurred a huge cost of 778,725,000 shillings. This was a total of 707. Okay, I'll reread this. At the launch of the event of receiving the first CRJ-900 Bombardier aircraft, the airline incurred a huge cost of 778 million shillings for hosting 600 guests at an average cost of about 1.3 million shillings per guest. This was excessive and there was no value for money. Mr. Muleya further informed the board that the former commercial director, Ms. Jennifer Bamuturaki Musime, now acting CEO, one time authorized the over-invoicing of an amount of $232,000 for Abavata Media Agency. The invoice raised and approved for $404,000 when the actual cost was $172,000. So there was a difference of $232,000. That's about, on average, about 900 million Uganda shillings. These and other facts prompted the board to agree to the recommendation by management to terminate the Abavata contract, as well as not confirming Ms. Bamuturaki into service. Shed light on this. For example, which company is this that was hired for the event of receiving the first aircraft at this cost of, 778 million shillings plus? Guests were 600, and so on average about 1.3 million shillings per guest. What was spent on? Which company is this? We want to have a good understanding. So far.
Now, I will give you two documents. One is the Abavata contract that was signed, giving them, recruiting them as media service, how do I call it? Media service providers. Can I say that? Events organizers, etc., etc. I will also give you an email that was written justifying having Abavata despite some questions about their competencies, which Jennifer wrote to the CEO, but also on those monies, at least they have already shed light on that. Those were discovered by the CEO, of course, through the Directorate of Finance, and then the issue came to the board. We discussed it in the board. We got to the documentation. We wanted Jennifer to come and shed light on those accusations. She defied the board. Like I said earlier in my submission, the board always acts on reports from management. When you are contracted by an organization like ours, you are given a contract for 6 months on probation, after which will be confirmed upon satisfactory performance. The one who appraises those is the CEO and reports to the board. For us, the board, we appraise the CEO and either give him another contract or decide not to give him another contract. So on the appraisal, whose copy I also have, which we got as a board, the CEO had put his comments and he has justified them. And Jennifer had also made her comments and had signed on the appraisal report. Okay? Now, for us, what made us believe that she could be problematic was the money. And remember, she was in charge of the launch together with Obovata. But she was also, she was in charge of every event. There are other small things which I cannot talk on in this meeting, but they impact so much on the performance of such a business. So we just agreed with management that we cannot we continue with this kind of person given this record. There are other things. But sometimes a lot of things also. There are other things. I will tell you, for example, I went out to Nairobi, Bujumbura, Dar es Salaam, Juba, to recruit for our up-country offices, country managers and station managers. You only needed to be there to see what was going on. At one point, I asked Jennifer, "Why do you create jobs in the airline or what? You have interviewed a person has merged the best, but because you preferred another one, you outrightly say, I will not work with that one. My preferred person is that one." And you are telling a chairman of the board, a person who is in charge of recruitment.
Maybe paint a clear picture, Honorable Habwe. Where exactly did that happen? The specificities.
Yes, in the Nairobi office. I even put it in my report.
We haven't read it yet, so
yes,
please talk to us.
You'll read. Everything is there. I get you copies of these things. We are in a meeting like this. We are interviewing people. Now, there is a lady Her name is Ada Shemereirwe. She is eventually I came to know on my in my own way, but accidentally. Ada Shemereirwe, no Ada Shemereirwe is one of the candidates. Her profile in working in an airline is 0. But she has a good CV. She has worked with some UN agencies. She has worked with but in the aviation industry, not even one day. Now, there is another one. Ada Shemereirwe is a Ugandan, but married to a Kenyan. But there is another lady who worked extensively in the aviation industry, in airlines, and she has plenty of certificates, IATA, like all these. And she's very good when she's answering questions, and you can see this person is experienced, and this would be a very good resource. And we are 4 of us, and we have, so we complete the interviews. The commercial director says she cannot allow this. She cannot even work with her, whatever case. I said, but this one has matched the best of the candidates. Who are you to? Then I asked the HR manager, you see, you are a new board member. You have found these people in the offices. And you are possibly 3 months in the office. Then I said, but is this how you are running this thing? You HR manager, is this how you put people into offices? Everybody keeps what, and the lady says, no way. Then I said, no. The decision has been made under my chairmanship. And the matter is closed. Later on, I discovered, while for us we were even residing in the hotel, she was actually staying at that lady's home. And you could easily see that the lady was answering questions mechanically before you even finish a question, because there was a checklist. And we would share different sections of asking. You would see the lady is eager, and she has started answering before you even finish. Before you even finish the question. So somebody is really prepared. You know, I am 60 years chairman. I am not a young man anymore. I could see that really, no. I said, this area in which government gave me to look after, if this is how it is going to be run, then we are in trouble. So you are seeing that is completely difficult to deal with.
In his 21st May report, you're talking about a gentleman.
So Ada Shemereirwe was not qualified, according to you, no experience in airlines industry and all of that. And you gave the job to, what was the name whom you people hired?
She's called, I remember, is it Macharia? There's a Kikuyu lady there.
Okay, so what happened then? I want us to move fast. Because
what happened is that for us, I said the highest takes the job, and we are convinced she's the one who takes the job. And actually, I don't know whether she's still there, but by the time I left, she was still in the office.
Who?
The one we left there. Although she was scared that maybe she would entertain the job. Now, in the Bujumbura...
Just a second.
Yes.
You said that Jennifer was staying at the home of Ada Shemereirwe.
Maybe let me finish that one.
Yeah, because you see, you can't start a story and end it halfway. We want to pick the issues.
Because some bits are now ahead in
No, let's deal with it now and get it out of the
time
way.
frame. How did I discover that the relationship between Ada Shemereirwe and now the Abavata person? The Abavata man, the Kenyan, rang me. It was the time they were trying to claim money from the airline. That they had run the services and they were never paid. So I think somebody advised if you approach the chairman can be over here. So I found a missed call that whose identity I couldn't place. And it is my habit. This one is my habit. When I don't pick a phone call, or when I find a missed call, I tend to first identify who the person is who was calling. So I used the usual mechanism, which many of you know about, to check on who is this person who was calling me. Because for us as politicians, you know, I'm still the MP for many of the people who supported me. Somebody gets sick and they still calls Pereza for assistance, even when I am unable. So when I check the name is Ada Shemereirwe. In the what? In the phone. Then I start recording that this name is familiar. This name is familiar. My head started running like this. Eventually, I said, oh yes, there was such a name when we met some people in Nairobi, interviews. Could there be a relationship? Then I went in my records. I went in one of the bags I carry like this one. I did this. And now I landed on the CV of Ada Shemereirwe. Then I called back. When I call back, the person who has answered is the Kenyan Maasai man, the owner of Abavata. And he said, I'm called Leslie. Leslie, what is Leslie who? So and so has given me a number to call you, sir. You see, I am the director of Abavata, blah, 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 blah. Of course, I feign a bit of ignorance and what, but eventually I noticed that not only was Jennifer associated with Abavata directly by having a relationship with Mark Odeke, who is a co-director in Abavata, but Leslie is the husband to Ada Shemereirwe, whom Jennifer wanted to appoint country manager in Nairobi. You get the connection. So,
Microphone, Honorable.
Jennifer could have been the friend of the other person.
yeah.
And to me, if that friend...
I get that call, and when I check the name, coincidentally, it brings the name of the lady I had interviewed 1 year ago. And the other one was defending seriously. You get the story. That's why I wanted to leave that one a bit, because it is not the same period.
Maybe the lady wanted also to be your friend.
Please respond to the other issues, Honorable.
Now, you see, the other thing that I would keep telling them, and I will keep saying, boy, you'll be in trouble in the future. We are in Bujumbura, then somebody's taking us around to see where we could locate the offices of the Uganda Airlines. So we see some place, and immediately I see somebody pick a phone call, calls some Indian, I think, talks. How much is this space? Blah, blah. No, I shall give you 2,000. You know. Then I am there, poor chairman. Somebody is giving a contract, a tenancy thing on the road. And I said, how can we continue like this? Then I would tell, if you don't follow procurement rules, you are in trouble. This is a government entity. It uses public money. Government has a system of procurement, including procuring officers. Be careful. I'm witnessing certain things which are strange, but I'm warning you. You are managers, be careful. And I left it at that. So you can see now the level at which I found the airline. Some is giving a contract, negotiating on phone for an office, and is giving instructions. Now refurbish it, we shall give you 250,000. Very interesting.
The other issues that were raised?
Yours was it a question? It was just...
It was for reflection.
Yeah, it was for reflection.
Yeah,
yes.
reflection.
Let me make a comment. I don't doubt the president's passion, the president's vision, and also doing things in good faith. I am not questioning that. You know, President Museveni, his background is military. And the military people, you know, that's why they said lawful orders. There could be unlawful ones, depending on how you approach. Now, President Museveni, depending on his mood, sometimes he can make a mistake. He's human. And I have a strong feeling, and I believe in it. And if I met him tomorrow, I would tell him, sir, this was a mistake. You know...
What was the mistake exactly?
No, you cannot just come up and say, I direct, you appoint. No, that's a mistake. Please, let's be very open and clear. The president made an error. And I had disagreed with that approach, respectfully. But somehow, for some reasons, he came and showed me where he derives his powers to do what he had done earlier. So it means he has some people there who possibly even misadvises him. I mean, misadvise him, because the first letter didn't have. You were not invoking those words. The second letter is invoking the constitutional provisions and doing the same thing. So that's where the problem is now. Now, I don't doubt his, but he has, I think, also a problem of quality assurance in his office. And I will tell you, sometime I will interface informally and tell you what happened. Because this is a confession, or I recommend somebody to come and tell you what happened. Those documents and what in which you were deriving, all those things, I know how they were derived and how they were authored. But I don't have, I will not say them here on record because I don't have evidence. But somebody who participated in authoring them and doctoring them for the president to read and take decisions is available. So for me, I can bring some, and I sent that somebody to meet General Katumba. Yes, I requested General Katumba. I said, please, Honorable Minister, allow to meet this person. And the general accepted. So General Katumba met that person. And according to that person, when he reported, General Katumba requested a lawyer in State House to interface with that one. And they interfaced with the view of briefing the president about some things. And the idea behind was the president should meet that person. and an appointment alert was issued that the president would call him and meet him. He's still waiting, like I'm still waiting for the call. So this thing is a long thing, but it needs sometimes maybe a group of like 2-3 people, and you sit together, you address everything, and then somebody now goes and he does the kitchen work, and then now brings to the bigger meeting. In fact, I am about to recommend to the chair that he could have 1 or 2 people, and then I call the other one, and then we meet, and then churn out every small detail, including some documents. And then you see the entire, you see the right inside the whole thing. So I don't doubt the president's passion, and the presidency maybe, is it a disappointment? Because for me, he talked about me in public, in private, in everything. He keeps saying, even those I trusted, he said it in Kororo, I'm told he said it in Chankwazi, I'm told he said it in SEC, in SEC, the Central Executive Committee of the party. SEC members, about 10 of them, called me and said, Teresa, what is this? I kept laughing. But I met at least, including your late speaker, Jacob Bolanye, because he was a close friend. He called me also, said, but I said, no. And he's the one who even said, let's find a way so that you can meet him. So it was a complete package of, I would want to call it retribution, and the president believed it, but it was cooked. Most of it was cooked. Is General Saleh a shareholder? No. General Saleh is an interested party. You know, in this country, just as any other citizen in the country, you can go to court as a citizen and question certain things. I think General Saleh he kept getting documents also from the airline. You know, there were also some...
In what capacity? Because, Honorable,
I don't know.
when you say that any citizen can be interested, that's all right, because this is a national airline, and it is taxpayers' money. Can a citizen summon you to his home? Because, you know, if General Saleh was summoning people to his place in Gulu,
Chairman,
giving him documents, in what capacity? Because if we know 2 shareholders, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Works, you had a board you were working with. So General Saleh summons people from Uganda Airlines in what capacity? You're the board chairman. You tell me, you were the board chairman.
Now, for me, I live in a positive world. I don't live in an ideal world. I live in a positive world. There is this organization called OWC. But my brother, it could be another government. It could be. Because for me, I met a group of about 10 people, chaired by General Anjina, on instructions of General Saleh, to find out what is going on in the airline. And I met OWC team on the 11th of June, on the 13th, on the 12th of June, and on the 13th. I was coming every day, starting at 11, ending at 4.
But you refused to meet.
Now,
sorry.
How he derived those powers, sir, I don't know.
No, but
you see, Honorable...
And I wouldn't have said no.
You refused to meet the Minister of State. And rightly so, because he said if...
Yes, because he was
What is
summoning,
that meeting supposed to be called?
She was summoning the board.
Now you are meeting operation with creation, which is way out. At least the minister is connected. There's some nexus. So now, kindly please let us know.
No, Yusuf.
Honorable Ahaboy.
Let me be clear.
So, you earlier on told us you're a man of policy, you like to follow the law and so on, yeah? And if your hands were tied, you could say, because we want proper clarity. So you're saying you were summoned by General Saleh 3 times, and you went.
3 times?
You mentioned the dates.
Oh, it was a continuing meeting.
Okay, whatever the case might
days,
be.
Yeah.
And so you keep going and you're providing information about Uganda Airlines.
Yes.
In what capacity? Because he's not one of the shareholders, he's not your supervising minister, you know. Did you share any discomfort, for example, with your supervising minister to say, there is a call coming in from a parallel structure and that kind of thing? Because we want to know who runs Uganda Airlines.
Now, I told you, I know how I am protected because we have a board charter. When you look at the mandate of the chairman, it's broader, and I met millions of people, including people like former CEOs of airlines. Some of them, the minister, Azuba, would send them to me, and I would meet them in the fairway, I would meet them where, to talk about the business.
Okay, so those who were sent by your minister, who sent it to General Saleh?
Even if you were the one who called me and said, Teresa, can we chat? I have a few issues. I would come and we chat over a cup of tea.
But Chair.
So that's why I cannot answer for the other team, but I can say I met them. Whether it was wrong, whether it was right, I will be vindicated in a way. But I met them, and I am certain and I know that they have a report they wrote and recommended to the president about Uganda Airlines.
Chair.
I would meet, you know, as a chairman, there is a way you also want to for example, I met the Director General of ISO. And what I wanted was, is there a way we can collaborate, and then I get someone who is seconded to my organization so that I know what is happening inside there. Somebody professional, so that I know, because I'm not there every day. This is a business that transacts daily. It has problems daily, spending money daily, and not little money. We are talking about a part of an aircraft that can cost $300,000 US. Now, how would I know that they have not bought a fake one? How would I know that possibly they have not even imported it and re-exported it? So I wanted to engage these people, and I would meet the bosses to see whether they have that skill, that expertise.
Okay, let's first hear from Honorable Nekesa. Yeah, to jump in on this.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Ahewa. Chair, in regard to meeting the general, I'm sure I called you a whip before in that. The whip, they gave you the work of a board chairman because you're a whip, that you direct the whole organization. So have other whips. You know, given the fact that we know our history, and whether OWCO, just General Saleh per se, took in so much to get this. So what we're mentioning about the pillars of the government, yeah, the part of it, they made it. We can't deny the truth and the facts. So if such a historical, who is also a whip in terms of government running in one way or another, the historicals, and they know it, and member of, they can. I don't think it's right you met him, because they have to get to talk to you. At your level of whip, they're also whips in their own way. That's clearly and clearly so. I suppose, honorables. Thank you.
Okay. Kano Victoria Nekesa. Now call you even by entities to operate the way they should, you know. So except now there's two generals. There's General Katumba Amala, who had a right to someone because he was the works minister. And that's understandable. We are not questioning it. You know, but for General Saleh to summon him and the team, we want to understand, you know, and for me, as far as I see, it's not procedurally provided for, except if it were that maybe he had been appointed, an ad hoc committee investigate, which information we don't have. So aside from that, I'm wondering why all these different interested parties,
Chair,
for which there is no clarity.
Chair,
you know, colleagues, I don't want us to dwell on this issue so much. It is 1:25.
Chair, just
Let him first finish answering the other issues. Let's move on to the other issues.
Let me say this.
Honorable Harwood.
That you just take it as information.
Okay, we've
Then
taken it as
You
information.
know how to deal with it.
No problem.
Yes.
Go ahead to the other issues.
Santa, my OG in the 7th Parliament. Now, airline business has implications which are not only financial, but also generally economic. The benefits from having a national airline go beyond the money the auditors talk about.